I want to again thank everyone
Mhm.
and thank you very much, Chief of Staff Montgomery, for setting this all up and working with us. So, what I wanted to do today is to get as much in as we can so that we will have enough to make a report to the commission on the 12th. We're set on the agenda of the commission on the 12th to present the report and to give the ad hocs statement or opinion about the report. I mentioned to Ms. Montgomery that I think that the city's um, legislation had required the report to be given to the commission in March. I'm not actually sure, but I think the commission may need to, we'll find out, may need to vote on allowing the report to come in April when it did, so that, there's no problem with it. I don't think there would be any problem with it, maybe one way or the other, but just in terms of the tech, the technical aspects of it. Um, we may need to do that in addition to the comments that we would be making about the report to go to the city council. Um, it's pretty thick report from what I can tell. Generally, it's technically responsible to the responsive to the technical requirements of the state legislation and city legislation. But I don't know. I know that John had presented some issues that he had some questions about earlier. Maybe we can start with those, John. Go ahead.
Thank you. And good to see folks, those at least I can see. Good to be with you all at least. I guess I also wanted to ask if we could discuss the community engagement meeting that the state law requires. That doesn't require the commission to take an action. The OPD, uh, like in other cities and counties, can just set a time and date, a time and place for a community engagement meeting to discuss. It needs to be well publicized and conveniently located. That's what the law says. Um, but I think, that's from my perspective, in addition to whatever else, this ad hoc committee can do, I think that would be a good thing to kind of set in motion. Um,
I would agree with that, and I'm glad you brought that up because we did discuss that in the prior meeting that we had, and we did check with our council, and they were as clear as you stated it that it is the responsibility of the department and not the commission. I don't know if Captain Fable, if you have a comment about that.
Um, yes, sir. So what we found was last time the commission has a very good following, and when we attached your guys' media presence with our publication, and we had the one meeting that accomplished both tasks at one meeting, we had a very good turnout. And I think that it's best that we combine our resources and do it that way because we don't typically get those types of turnouts.
Okay, so you all would set the date and then we would include it in our media presentations. Is that what you're asking or saying?
Well, when you guys had a pre-scheduled meeting, the commission, and we attached ourselves to that meeting, and both of us put it out on the media that we would be having both. The meeting would be the community meeting in combination with the commission's meeting, and we had a very good turnout, and I thought it was a very robust meeting.
So
Oh, you're saying
I,
down at City
I
Hall, you're saying.
no, that was at Allen Temple. Yes.
No, I think Captain Fable actually is referring to something that was at City Hall 2 years ago.
Oh, before
Because
the Allen
last
Temple
year,
one?
right, so the year before the one at Allen Temple, which did not have a good turnout
It didn't.
for this item.
Yeah.
But the year before, there was some coordination with some of the community groups to hear their response, and that I think that's maybe what you're referring to, Captain Fable.
The Allen Temple one, which is the one I was referring to, I
Oh,
thought was a
So
very
so
very
so that
efficient meeting.
so I'll just share that the Allen Temple one, I do recall that happening, but I also recall the commission getting a lot of backlash from that because the community members were stating that this first of all is not the opportunity to do that. It's supposed to be a police presentation, and I remember there were a lot of grumblings about like why is this happening now. So I think if we did move in that direction, I'd have to one ask chair and council whether that's something that they'd like to move forward with, and then if they say yeah, okay, we can do that, then we can definitely, I mean, we're open to coordinate or help or what have you. But it didn't land well
I'm
Yeah.
very
last
sorry
time.
to interrupt. I understand one of the commissioners is absent. Do we need to record this meeting?
Yes, it's being recorded.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
And I hadn't quite finished also. I would agree with Ms. Montgomery that the meeting at Allen Temple was well attended, but not for this,
Mhm.
right? This item was not even really announced on the agenda, and no one came to speak to it.
Mhm.
So, I mean, if one could use the same strategy, like have it at Allen Temple or some other community setting, and invite people to come, but it would have to be saying this is to discuss military equipment, um, or as 2 years ago, it was incorporated into a commission agenda. But the other thing is that the Brown Act was suspended for that portion, so that the AB 41 requirement that the members of the public may discuss and ask questions could occur. Um, and that did occur. That's the way it was done 2 years ago when it coincided with a commission agenda. And maybe I'll just after we're done with this, I want to kind of respond to your earlier question, Commissioner Riles, about the report itself, but we can come back
Okay,
to that.
let's give Captain Perez a chance to speak. He's had his hand up for a bit.
Oh, thank you so much. So one of the things where we were discussing about, because we did post the report on our OPD website on April 23rd, and I know that we have to also facilitate a presentation of this report via community meeting. One of the things that we were talking about, just based on the report and the amount of deployments that happen with this equipment, the majority are located in East Oakland, specifically Area 4, sorry, 6 and 5. So one of the things that we were talking with our CROs is maybe the possibility of hosting a community meeting in one of those areas, since that's where we use this equipment the most. Obviously, coordination with community groups or PIO with weeks in advance so they can post it on social media and send out the messaging. Be really specific of what the intent of this report is, and obviously we're going to be there present to answer any questions. That way, there's no confusion as to. I don't want community members to feel like they're attending a meeting for a certain issue they have, and then we present a report that's something that is really not is not, I guess, is not that presentation will not solve their issue. So I think it's how we deliver the message, and if we give it the proper amount of time, and again in coordination with our PIOs and community groups, we were thinking if that would be the give us the best results, because we do statistics show that again the equipment gets deployed the most in East Oakland.
Right. Well, that's excellent. So that So I'm to understand then that the department would set the date for that, and then we would support you in trying to get a good turnout.
Yes, and I'll coordinate with Sergeant Belligan, which is our Community Resource Officer Supervisor in East Oakland, and with our PIOs, I'll have him select a community meeting, and then we can start coordinating, sending the message out. One example of this was when we did the ad hoc for the J4 policy for the pursuit policy. We did have a meeting in the library in East Oakland. It was well
Right.
and we did get a lot of good input from the community, both for the police and then the members of the ad hoc team. And I think it worked pretty well because everybody had their input and was able to provide that information.
I would agree with that. Okay, John, we want to get back to you. Go ahead, John.
Okay, if yeah, there's no more about the community meeting. Um, I guess I I wouldn't quite concur that technically the report is in
Okay.
full compliance. There are a few things, and then there's other things where that are more just like questions about them or trying to understand better. Um, so uh, and I think I don't know if I can put it in the chat or not. No, I probably can't. Just to reiterate the things that I put in my memo, was a month or so ago now. But
Mhm.
there's some policies that are not posted publicly for military equipment. Um, uh, or that are not listed in the report. So the department has robots, it has long range acoustic devices or LRADs, it has mobile command centers, um, it has chemical agents which are listed in the report, but they are not posted on the department's policy page, that particular policy. And all of the policies need to be posted, right? They need to be public facing. Um, so that's one area. Another area is in the 2022 report that OPD produced for this process. It included a list of incidents in the report that was actually a spreadsheet, and it's really informative. You really get a sense of like uh what uh, what you were just saying. Is he gone? Oh no, there you are. Lieutenant Perez Angeles, or I'm not sure what your rank is. Sorry. Um, what you're saying about like where the deployments have been located. The spreadsheet included that type of information. It included some stuff probably from the CAD about what the circumstances were, about what the date was, whether anyone was injured or not, lots of things like that. So if it's possible to produce that, that would be very, very useful.
Yeah,
Um,
can I answer that or you
Yes, go
you're
ahead.
off? So yes, I mean you brought up good points and we did get those some of your questions and yeah, the links to those policies and specifically to the chemical munitions, which is the policy Victor Frank 2, was left out by accident, but it's gonna be incorporated in the report when we update it in the OPD website. When it comes to the details that you're talking about, all that now reflects on any time that we have a deployment of the MEU through our reporting system, which is called Vision Tech. We create those every single time of that deployment, and what that has is going to be a report number, an incident number, date and time, the equipment that was used and deployed, and then we document even further, like if there's any arrest related to the deployment, if there's any injuries, or if there's any property damage, and all that gets documented and it gets input in our reporting system, which is called Vision Tech, and that creates a document, and then that document obviously gets uh, we create a PDF, and then we're required to send that document to all our command staff within the police department. That way, They keep track of obviously what's going on in their areas. And then Kima, who's our uh, administrator, who's pretty much the gatekeeper of this, uh, her job is to keep record of every deployment that gets produced, and then she does audits for this to make sure that the proper equipment is being deployed, and then we're naming them. We're identifying the proper equipment. I'll give you an example. So we have drones, right? But we have two different types of drones.
Mhm.
They're specified in the drop boxes, but sometimes the commanders that are producing this report will not be specific of what type of drone got deployed, if an interior or exterior drone. And that's her job to catch those little things, right? Hey, you said that you guys use this, you deploy this piece of equipment this day. Can you tell me what was the nomenclature? That way it shows accuracy when we're producing this annual report. But yes, to answer your question, yes, we do have these MEUs in PDF format, and I'm happy to share one with you. I just don't have one with me right now, but it's pretty. It has everything that you're talking about. I think before it was in a spreadsheet, and I believe that was before we migrated that information into our Vision Tech, our report writing system, which is Vision Tech.
Okay. So yeah, software is always evolving, and I remember 2 or 3 years ago having this similar conversation with OPD about the software it had then that was going to be able to do certain things. Um, can you tell us for the incidents that are reported in this report for the different types of equipment, when there could be a public facing, if not an Excel sheet, a PDF that lists what you're describing for each incident?
Hey, one sec. I just going to jump in here really quickly. Sorry, John and Captain Perez Angeles. But everyone, thank you everyone who already has their camera on. For everyone who does not have a camera on, do you mind turning your camera on? This is a meeting that is available to the public. Everyone should be able to put a name with the face. And it's just a professional way to go about the meeting. So if you don't mind turning your cameras on, that would be great. We talked about this last time. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Farmer. So again, is it?
Captain, your question, John, the
I'm
captain.
sorry, can you repeat your question, please?
Uh, it's good to hear that you have the capability to record all of those different data points for each deployment of military equipment. Can you tell us when that list could be in PDF format of each deployment with the different data points for that corresponds to this report, not just a sample, but that corresponds to this report, when that would be available in a public facing manner?
You know what? I will have to get back to you, because I'm not sure and I obviously I don't want to speak for OCA, but I don't know. I'm not sure if this would have to require a public records request. I'm not sure because there's going to be a lot of sensitive information in those reports. I honestly don't know um, we if we included that information in last year's report. I
I
took
can
over.
show you what was included in 2022, and what you described.
Hey,
I
hey,
mean,
John, we do have that document, but we do have to go through the city attorney's office for the appropriate posting of it. I don't recall the exact process that we utilized several years ago, but we will follow up on that and get an answer. But the document does exist as similar to the prior.
okay. So, can you
On
give?
that, we'll check on that.
Okay. Um, so there's also the local ordinance requires impact statements, and the report says any adverse impacts fell within the previously identified impacts in the previously released impact statement. See attachment. There's nothing attached. And it's repeated for every type of equipment within the report. Um, and so it seems like it was kind of copied and pasted maybe from previous years. And so it doesn't necessarily reflect any impacts in 2024, right? So if does OPD have such impact statements? And if so, they would need to be included according to the local ordinance. They would need
Sure.
to be included in the
John,
report.
I'm not aware of any associated complaints directly in this reporting period of negative, complaints taken from our internal affairs. I can't speak, of course, on behalf of the commission. I do believe they would notify us, but I am not aware of a specific piece of equipment that had a direct negative impact report, as that would be captured in our vision, which attaches IED complaints directly to the deployment of that equipment if a complaint is directed specifically towards that equipment.
So if I recall correctly, the impact statement is not defined as a formal complaint to IED. So for example, you say any property damage, any arrest, like, there's, I believe we can look at how the impact statement is defined. And even if there were no adverse impacts, then that section should say no adverse impacts were registered, right? But instead it says there's an impact statement that's attached and there's no impact statement attached.
Just a
And
quick note that
I believe that is the
OMC
spreadsheet because we
9.65 does define impact, and it specifies that it should be an updated assessment. Also, Captain Fevel, good to hear your voice again. I don't know if you realize it, but your video is still off.
no, I understood. So yeah, my connection does not allow me to do both. And even at the last meeting, that was a challenge with the connection we were all having. So it's good to see that it's clear today. I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. We do capture damage to property, injuries to officers. All of that is captured in our MEU deployments. Um, in Vision, I will have to check the data output, how that works. That's not really my forte or craft. But I do know that we do capture that data.
Okay.
Yes, and like Lieutenant Phil was saying, that reflects on the MEU reports that we now have the ability to generate through our vision reporting system. And like he was saying, besides the MEU reports, if something gets generated, let's say there's injury or there's property damage, that does get documented in the crime report or incident report. It may not be in the MEU in great detail, but it will indicate that was property damage, right? And then what we do is use that original crime report to reference whoever wherever the damage was done, and that sometimes or oftentimes, not sometimes, either be documented via the body worn camera or photos by a crime scene technician. Depends on the type of damage and incident that we're having.
So that's something you're going to follow up on. I understand, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Next thing is that AB 41 requires the department to identify the sources of funding for each proposed equipment acquisition, but those are not listed for a majority of the items. So that would be a requirement for the proposed acquisitions. Whether it's coming from the general fund, if there's a grant.
That's something that we could follow up with on fiscal. Again, not my expertise. I know the OPD is funded through the general fund, and I do know that the report does outline, to the knowledge that we had available, any of the equipment that was purchased through grants. I don't recall any military equipment purchased through grants recently, um, but we will ask fiscal to review the report and see if they see any discrepancies.
Yeah, or just absences, right? So it's not just things that were acquired in the last year, but things that the department proposes to acquire in the coming year, right? That
Right.
is
Like the armored SUVs, which would
Correct.
be a great consideration by your body.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then one other thing related to the armored vehicles is that the armored vehicle policy states that OPD will report publicly on each deployment of armored vehicles. And for 2 years, from 2021 until August of 2023, the department would post a monthly log of armored vehicle deployments. And actually, for that period, those are still online. But after August 2023, that ended. So, wondering if OPD would resume the reporting of armored vehicle deployments. Bonus if you can post the deployments from September of 2023 to the present, but also resuming those deployments would be in accordance with the department's armored vehicle policy.
We'll look into. There's a lot of these policies have been revised. I'm not sure if that was one of them. I will reach out to our public information officer who was pushing that out, as well as our policy and publications to see why that may have changed.
Okay. There's no the currently posted policy for armored vehicles still has that provision. And if you did change the policy for armored vehicles, which is military equipment, then that presumably would come through this body also.
So one of the reasons that we stopped reporting online is because, again, the integration of the MEU that went into Vision, it goes into Vision now. So again, every time that we create an MEU report on Vision, it if even if the armor was used, it's going to indicate that. Before we had the Vision, that's because of the policy of the armor vehicle. That's how we were reporting out to the public. But since we got integrated into this new system, we stopped doing it the old way, and now it's being integrated in the MEU.
Okay.
So there's other things in what I sent that are perhaps less not as high priority. They're not all compliance issues, but they are things that are, useful, like even just like what certain like types of language mean, because sometimes it says number deployed and it's unclear whether that means number of deployments. I think if you all here, we've got 4 of you from the department here. If you're able to kind of divvy up some of the pieces here and respond to them in writing, some of it is just clarification, right? What certain types of things in the report mean. There are other things like, the department is proposing to more than double the number of drones. And I think it would be helpful to hear the department's rationale for that significant investment into drones. And I'm not talking, when I say investment, I am not primarily talking about the price to buy them, but the price for personnel to use them, right? Because as we understand it, when a drone is deployed by the department, 2 and often 3 officers are part of that deployment. And if drones are going to be deployed a lot more, that's going to require more personnel time. That's an investment. So, I think some kind of explanation of that. Is there a strategy here? Is there the county is also investing heavily into drones. The sheriff's office, already has like 170. Is that how much it is, Jennifer? It's like a lot, and they're going to acquire 70 more. So, and they're available over the county. So, just wanting to hear what does policing look like the more it is from the air. What is your vision here? What is your strategy? Because, people want to know.
Yes, no, that's a really good question, and we do have your questions. And like I said, Kima's not here today. We were all collaborated on those questions that would get sent out to send you guys like a clean answer on a document. But like I said, she's not here today, so I don't have that document. But just to answer your question, when it comes to drones, Lieutenant Daza Quiroz is the one who created the drone policy, and in his response, the number of deployment of drones have doubled since it was implemented. So yes, it did require more manpower, and he already kind of fulfilled that demand with the deployments. He augmented the number of drone operators that are in the department. Each And that with that, he had the ability to create teams. Right now, the challenge that he's having is actually the equipment itself, because it's my understanding that we can't use general fund money to purchase those drones. There is other ways that we're seeking to get that equipment. That's going to be via grants or asset forfeiture money that the
Hmm.
department gets because they're part of task forces, and that's money that is specifically meant for that, for police departments to purchase equipment like the drones. Like I said, yes, we clearly see, and it's in the stats. It's probably the number two piece of equipment that gets deployed the most. First, it's going to be the PROs or the rifles that get deployed on the request, and then the secondary is probably going to be the drones. The drones get used a lot, and it's saving us costs when it comes to deploying a drone over our helicopter, which obviously we all know that the cost of a helicopter is just
Huge.
money. Yeah, it's huge. So that's how we're
Hmm.
going to try to offset some of the costs by trying to double the equipment when it comes to the drones via grants or as a forfeiture money. And yes, we already increased the number of drone operators. Hopefully that answered your question.
Right. So we also have your document, John, and just to say that because of our timelines, we've got this on the agenda for the commission meeting on the 12th. Mr. Farmer, Commissioner Farmer, and I are going to try to draft up something from this meeting to be presented there at that meeting. So some of this is going to be in process on the way to the city council. And we are also hoping that we can have an opportunity to talk to the Public Safety Committee of the city council about some of these issues in terms of also the strategy, tactics for the use of the drones and the personnel costs associated with that increase in drone use. But we will follow up with the additional items, John, that you have on your document. Does anyone have any other
Well, I know, Jennifer,
comments?
there's just one other thing that is also in the document, but AB 41 says to report on the use, summarize the uses and the purpose of the uses. And for drones, the document does say they were used on sideshows and I believe for serving high-risk warrants, but it doesn't say how much for each, right? So having some sense of like, okay, 145 uses is a lot of uses of drones. Um, was it mostly for warrants service? Was it mostly for sideshows? Was it mostly for something else that was not those two? That would be, I think, would be a much more illuminating report on that piece. But I'll stop.
Go
The,
ahead, Jennifer.
Yeah, thanks. I'll raise two issues. One about whether the report complies with state and local law requirements. The other is more just a general call for increased transparency. I'm not sure that it's backed by the state or the local laws, but I just want to encourage this body to consider it. I was talking with a teenager in the Fruitvale area a few months ago and shared this report. And one question that this teenager had was, there's a lot of uses of sorry, not this report, but the 2023 report. And this teenager noticed that there were a lot of more uses of the 40 millimeter projectile system without a warrant than with a warrant. And when we look at the 2024 report, we see that same pattern, that there's a lot more use without a warrant than with a warrant. In either situation, what this teen wanted to know is, hey, I live in Fruitvale. This seems to happen like kind of close to my neighborhood. What's going on? And this teen just really wanted to know what, like John said earlier, what's that purpose? Like, why is this being shot at? Could it get shot at me or my family? And this team just didn't know why these things were being deployed, and so didn't have a lot of confidence that it might not be used against them or their family or their neighbors. So just wanted to put in that quick experience plug for increasing that transparency by providing a report similar to what was done in 2022 and 2023. On the compliance front, there is one thing that I noticed that I don't think John talked about, which has to do with the fiscal reporting. And I'll go ahead and drop that into the chat. This comes from State Law AB 481. I can pull up the section if needed. And it says that in the annual report, it needs to include the total annual cost for each type of military equipment, including acquisition, personnel, training, transportation, maintenance, storage, upgrade, other ongoing costs, blah, blah, blah. And that I don't see in the 2024 report. I know some of you have been involved in the report for some time, and some are on the newer side. I did want to provide the context that in the first report that OPD provided, it did not have any kind of ability to look back in time on what those costs had been. And so in a good faith effort, it provided an estimate. That was the initial report. We've known for years now what the annual requirements are in terms of reporting on the total annual cost in its fullness. And so that's something that I want to bring up is I don't know if this new vision system tracks this information, or if it is not able to do it just like the old system. But that's something that is missing. Whether or not it can be rectified in the 2024 report, I don't know. But
To
that's
my knowledge, ma'am,
something that
it is included. It's in good. We adjusted for cost salary savings, and we have noted the input that the Corp Yard, which maintains those vehicles, charges us. That should be in the report.
it's listed as a estimate, and it's only associated with the training time. It doesn't include things like maintenance. I assume that all of the equipment undergoes some kind of maintenance, and that some of this is going to be officer time, and that's not something that's reflected. And so whether or not it can be rectified, I hope it may be rectified. That is a compliance issue. If it cannot, we should be talking about how to make sure that it will be included in the upcoming reports.
There's a column for maintenance. I don't know if it's the same kind of maintenance you're referring to. I see,
Yeah,
looking at page 83, that there are something, a column there. I don't know if you saw that, I guess.
I'll just give a quick example. Patrol rifles. I I don't know much about firearms. I understand that some amount of cleaning and maintenance is required for firearms. Hoping someone can confirm yes or no on that. And if so, that's probably done by a OPD officer. And so that should be something for that associated cost. Not just the cost of like a rag to or whatever it is that you do to maintain it, but the time involved.
Yeah, just to clarify, the new MEU system does not track anything that has to do with the fiscal cost of the equipment. When it comes to the example that you're using for the patrol rifle program, that does get done by the officer when they do their quarterly training or as needed. That cost comes in as like because they, for example, when they qualify quarterly with that rifle, it's a 10-hour day that they spend out there. They not only cover, they've got to ensure that their equipment works properly, um, and then obviously they have to do the testing and the standards, and then it goes into cleaning. Um, we have been having this is something I'm gonna have to get back and discuss with our department, because right now we did our best just to kind of project the cost of it, but to get to the granular level is something that I have to talk with my department, our fiscal department, to see if it's something that can be done, because right now, as I said, our fiscal department and the Oakland Police Department we're having a really challenging times with that. But again, I can run this up my chain of command and see what we can do. But It is in the report. We estimated the best that we could, but it's not to that granular level though.
Thank you, Captain Perez. Any other items? Commissioner Farmer?
Well, Chief of Staff has her hand up.
I have a question.
Yes,
And
go ahead.
I'm gonna put on my community member hat, and I'm new to the ad hoc, so I just wanted to ask a clarifying question. I know you mentioned drones in this report. When I hear military equipment ad hoc, I think of those things that can cause bodily harm. Can the drones cause bodily harm, or is it just used for like visual assistance?
Well, any piece of equipment, if used improperly, can cause harm. I'll give you an example, right? Not that it, thank God, it has not happened in our department, right? We have well-trained officers, but a drone, if not handled properly, it can be misguided and can hurt a bystander or even another officer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because obviously these are still a piece of equipment that's being manipulated by a person that is required to have the proper training. So yes, a
Mm.
drone can harm a person. However, we do not have, we have a lot of steps in place or processes in place so that we can avoid that, right? If it's too windy or if it's not safe to deploy, that's where the human side of this comes, right? The person that's certified is going to say, I don't think it's safe for us to deploy at this point, or I don't think the weather is not going to permit us to safely deploy this piece of equipment.
Okay,
But
thank you.
yes.
Yeah, and then I just want to jump in on that. So thank you for that explanation, Captain Perez Angeles. Um, I believe also, like more to her point, was that are the drones designed to do to create any harm? You know, like a military style predator drone. We don't have anything like that. It's just surveillance operations, correct?
That is correct. That's a really good question. Yes, thank you. And I'll clarify. So the drones that we have, they're equipped with cameras, and the purpose of the drones is obviously to provide like Overwatch and do searches. It's just another tool that we use in addition to, let's say, canines when we're doing our yard search or to clear a house. So we have what we call interior drones too. Those are the ones that we can deploy indoors. Whenever we, let's say, for example, we have to search a building, those drones do get deployed indoors, and there's a camera, and the pilot is manipulating the drone, and the mission of that drone or the purpose of the drone is to either locate somebody that we're looking for, or whenever we have missing persons, we have deployed those out in the trails before. We've done that multiple times when we had missing persons, and we get information that, for example, they went out for a hike and we can't find them. We did have an incident where that drone was successful. We ended up finding that person thanks to the drone because the helicopter couldn't find it. I think we had search dogs out there, but the drone had the ability to find it. And then we eventually that person was able to be rescued. So yeah, it has multiple purposes, but
But still considered to be military equipment.
yes.
That's so also in response to Ms. Montgomery, so the state law AB 481 defines what is military equipment. So it includes drones, includes robots, includes command vehicles. Some people think command vehicles aren't necessarily very military. And, I completely agree. You can use things in harmful ways or in non-harmful ways. And there's, what is the line? But the state legislature said, okay, drones and robots do have a surveillance thing, and there is a militarized, surveillance has a military origin as well. And so that is part of the rationale. I just wanted to say one other thing about the earlier conversation, which is that the personnel costs that are required to be reported under AB 481 generally are the most expensive things. And so while I understand that the software is not recording that, um, it does seem like that's a key piece in terms of understanding the fiscal impacts, is to really register not just, okay, you go to a training course, it's 2 days or 1 day or whatever it is, but the deployment of the equipment, officer time and personnel time, which is going to have a cost. So trying to understand that, even if it's an estimate, does seem like it's a really important piece of what the state law is getting at.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
if I may, just one thing, I'm going to drop a link to I-25, which is the department's policy on drones. The part that you should take a look at are the authorized use and the prohibited use. The department talked earlier today about the purpose, but the purpose is not the same as the use cases. And so the policy is very clear that the department's drones shall not be equipped with any weapon system. So that's pretty clear. But there was a mention of, if improper use of a drone could cause harm. So if you flew a drone into someone's face, that would probably cause harm. There's nothing in the prohibited use that says that drones cannot be used in a physical attacking kind of a way. But so that is something that is missing out of the policy. And there is that potential policy-wise.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Any other comments?
Yeah, no, Chair Rouse, thank you for this meeting and setting all this up, and everyone's comments have been really good. I really want to thank Jennifer too and John Lindsay Poland for all the questions that they raised. I agree with everything that they said 100%, and even more so to everything that Mr. Lindsay Poland put on his original sheet that we weren't able to cover tonight. I think we should get those answers. I definitely think we should get the answers regarding the maintenance costs. That is something that we've discussed going all the way back to before AB 481 was put into place. Having those estimates, I think, is very important, especially as I believe either Assistant Chief Felville or Captain Perez Angeles pointed out the fiscal issues that we're having right now. So we should have that information for transparency purposes and planning purposes. And I don't really have anything additional to add. Like you said, Chair Rouse, we're working on the document to present to the rest of the commission at our next meeting. I just was really curious if any other community members wanted to ask any questions. I think there's a really good question that Chief of Staff asked, Mr. Geist, Mr. Amaya. Do you all have any questions about this process or where we're going with this? Feel free to weigh in if you would like. If not, no worries, no pressure.
We don't have any, well, I would consider Stephen Geist a panelist, so he's not a community member. He is part of the ad hoc. But we don't have any community members, just so you all know.
Well, it's community member on the ad hoc. That was
my that's what you meant.
Before I was a commissioner, I was referred to as a community member on the ad hoc. So, but yes, definitely a panelist. Absolutely. Mr. Geist, proceed.
Just a question. So we've got the report from April. Will there be a version 2? Do we have a timeline for a revised report? What are the next steps to help facilitate that, and who's responsible for that?
Well, I think it's the department's responsibility as to when. I'm not sure. I think other folks are going to have to be consulted. We will have the meeting on the commission about this on June the 12th. And if the feeling of the commission is that it's finalized, the commission will make its comments and send the report with the commission's comments to the Public Safety Committee of the City Council. So there may be other changes made in that process from the commission to the Public Safety Committee of the council. And from that, I guess the Public Safety Committee will report to the full City Council.
It doesn't seem like there's enough time between now and next week to
I don't think so. I don't think all these questions can be answered in that time. We are behind time, and that's unfortunate, but we are a little bit behind time. We're trying to catch up. Do you have any other comments, Mr. Guys?
Nope.
Mr. Maya?
Yeah, no, thank you so much. Good to see everybody. I appreciate all the questions and the discussion that takes place. Like for me, just remembering like all the different equipments, how they're used, and what the investment behind each equipment is super important. But also like how is it used in the community? Like if this information is able to take process. So I'm very interested in supporting having that community meeting if it's still able to take place. Allen Temple is not too far from my stomping grounds, and yeah, would love to bring and support bringing the community out and them learning, because it's just a learning process for myself on like how how this equipment ends up in our community. So thank you so much for everything, and yeah, here to support for that community transparency meeting.
Definitely appreciate your participation, sir. And um, we're going to try to stay in touch with you, and you stay in touch with us. And I hope you can either attend or look into the commission meeting on the 12th. Captain, you think that we'd have a date for the community meeting by the 12th?
Yes, I'll have a date as to when the community meeting is going to have by the 12th, and I also will also have the ability to answer to the best of our abilities the questions that were sent by, I believe, Mr. John Lindsay. And I can email them to you, Mr. Riles, if you would like that, and you can,
Great.
or however you guys want to do it.
And just to help out with the effort, I'm actually in the process of sending an email to Lisa Osmus and Ann Pierce
Great.
to say follow up with you, AC Perez Angeles, so you guys, to let her know that this is what was discussed in the meeting, so you guys can start that discussion.
Sounds good.
Okay.
John, go ahead.
Yeah, I know we're about to close. Just two housekeeping things and then a comment. What time is the meeting on the 12th? And is the recording of this meeting going to be posted somewhere that people can access it? Those are the two housekeeping questions. And then the comment, maybe I'll just put that out of the way, is from my perspective, and a little bit like what Erickson was saying, and I think Omar too, is I think the highest priority of all the things in that I listed is that incident list. Like if
Mhm.
for me, like in terms of and you're gonna have to sequence all the different things that you do in the department. That would, for me, would be that it would make the community meeting more productive, more useful for people to have that in advance. But anyway, I had those two just little short questions. I don't know if
Yeah, and then just to
can-
jump in there before Jennifer asks her or makes her last comment,
Mhm.
the comment about following the policy about putting out when the Bearcat, for example, is deployed. That's something that's in the policy for the department to follow. So if it's not being done, it's a violation of the policy. That's something that we discussed back when we revamped the armored vehicle policy back in 2021. So we definitely need to address that in the future.
And to answer your questions, Mr. Poland, we have the meeting is our regular scheduled OPC meeting at 5:30. At 5:30 it opens, but the commission goes into closed session between 5:30 and 6:30, and then we typically open it back up at 6:30. So if you want to come at that time, you can. And as far as the meeting, this meeting being posted, yes, I will do my very best to act. Well, it will absolutely be before our next meeting, but I just ask for grace. I am one staffer for the entire commission.
That's right.
And so I've got to prioritize all of it. But I try to get you what you need. I'll get in the communication. You'll have the video, you'll have the minutes, who attended, and all of those things for you to kind of sink your teeth in before the next meeting.
Greatly appreciate it.
Sure.
Ms. Tu, go ahead.
Yeah, appreciation to the department for answering those questions by email ahead of time. So one additional request, if you could send it by I guess the 10th, so Tuesday, a week from now, That way it would give us lots of time to review and reflect on what you've shared ahead of the meeting so we can come well prepared. Thank you for doing that. And then going back to posting the policies, I just wanted to remind everyone that state law says that the policies must be posted for the duration during which the weapons are in use. And so any use of military equipment without a posted policy is out of compliance with state law.
So to Ms. Tu's point, if you're going to send something that's just for the ad hoc, you can send it by the 10th. But if it's something that you want as part of the agenda for the public to have, I need to have that by this Friday because it posts
Right.
on Monday. I have to put it in the agenda on Monday.
I'll have
Gotcha.
something for the ad hoc team for the 10th,
Okay.
which are the questions, and then to get back to you, making sure that that policy, specifically the chemical munition one, was left out and needs to be posted in the OPD website.
Okay,
And
so
the
what I heard is
report-
that the document that you're going to be sending is specifically for the ad hoc, and I don't have to worry about posting it. Okay, got
That's
it.
correct.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all very much. It's pretty important and a pretty heavy document, and I think we put our toe in it pretty strongly, and hopefully we can get it all out to the commission in a way that's that they can actually get understand it and be able to take a position on it. All right, so we'll all see you again soon.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.